Welcome to this explainer. Look, we are currently living through an era of technological change that is so incredibly fast. Traditional systems, from global governments all the way down to our own biology, are just scrambling to adapt. Industry insiders are calling this the hard takeoff. It's this period of aggressive exponential acceleration in artificial intelligence, and it is completely reshaping our world as we know it. To really grasp the stakes of this hard takeoff, you have to look at a totally unprecedented move. For the very first time in U.S. history, the White House has suddenly inserted itself directly into the release loop for frontier AI models. The executive branch actually placed a national security hold on commercial AI products. Why? Because these models have gotten so insanely capable that they're now being treated as critical national security assets.
So here is the roadmap for this explainer. We're going to track this massive ripple effect across 5 key areas. First, the AI regulatory endgame. Second, the global AI arms race. Third, markets in the hard takeoff. Fourth, space and next-gen compute. And finally, the future of the human.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the AI regulatory endgame and how the U.S. government is stepping in.
A lot of experts are characterizing this event as a Sputnik moment from within. And if you think about it, that is wild. Because unlike the Cold War, where the strategic surprise came from a foreign adversary, this national security shock came from private U.S. companies. The private sector effectively leapfrogged the government's own cyber capabilities, which completely shocked agencies like the NSA and Cyber Command.
So what actually triggered all those alarms? It was a massive pivot. We are moving from AI that can simply hack into systems to AI that can autonomously defend them. OpenAI's GPT 5.5 cyber model, which goes by the codename Daybreak, just scored a record-shattering 85.6 on the CyberGym benchmark. And the real prize here isn't just that it identifies vulnerabilities, it's that this AI autonomously writes and tests fixes across everything from web browsers all the way down to the Linux kernel. It's effectively turning a threat into a core at a scale we've never seen before.
Because these capabilities are so immense, the White House actually throttled OpenAI's latest release. They stepped in to gatekeep the GPT 5.6 rollout, restricting it to a highly select approved group of companies. OpenAI had to split the release into 3 different tiers: Sol, which is their incredibly powerful flagship model, Terra, the middle tier, and Luna, the fast, low-cost version. The government is now quite literally approving access, customer by customer.
That brings us right to Section 2, the global AI arms race, and what is happening with intellectual property in this new era.
Take a look at this staggering number, 28.8 million. That represents the amount of fraudulent exchanges Alibaba is accused of using to secretly extract capabilities from Anthropic's Claude model. They allegedly set up 25,000 fake accounts just to siphon off the underlying reasoning traces of a leading Western AI.
So how does this kind of IP theft actually work? Well, it happens through a process called distillation. Basically, you have an AI teacher, like a highly advanced model such as Claude, training an AI student from a completely different company. That student model just absorbs the teacher's problem-solving logic at a fraction of the original cost and time, which completely bypasses our traditional intellectual property protections.
But you know, this arms race isn't just about base models anymore. Developers are now using these things called harnesses. A harness is basically external software scaffolding that directs and heavily enhances an AI's performance. Meaning, bad actors might not even need to steal the newest, government-restricted models. With the right harness, they can just turbocharge older, open-weight models to hit super performance levels that rival today's heavily guarded tech. So in many ways, the cat might already be out of the bag.
Let's dive into Section 3, markets in the hard takeoff, and the financial strategies companies are using as we approach the singularity.
Now, there's obviously a ton of fear right now that new AI video models from China threaten the $50 billion Hollywood industry. But honestly, the real economic prizes are elsewhere. The video game industry sits at well over $200 billion, and whoever cracks real-time AI video generation for gaming is going to win huge. But even that is nothing compared to the massive $30 trillion enterprise software market. That is where AI is going to fundamentally rewire the entire global economy.
Because that prize is so incredibly massive, these tech giants are totally changing their financial strategies. Take OpenAI, for example. They're reportedly stalling their initial public offering. Why? Because they just raised $122 billion in private capital. They flat out don't need public money right now. The leadership would much rather focus 100% of their energy on developing artificial general intelligence, or AGI, rather than wasting time dealing with SEC red tape, public market volatility, and quarterly earnings pressure during the most critical technological race in human history. Which leads us to Section 4, Space and Next-Gen Compute, and how we are expanding our physical infrastructure.
To handle the insane demand for compute, Elon Musk is rapidly expanding his space ecosystem, and we're moving way beyond Starlink here. Just look at these new initiatives. You've got Starfall, which handles orbital cargo deployment and retrieval, meaning we can literally bring manufactured goods back down from orbit. Then there's Starmind, an AI satellite constellation network that's basically building a Dyson swarm of intelligence in space. And Starpipe, which lays the groundwork for oil and gas refinery capabilities on Mars and the Moon. They are literally creating off-world resource pipelines just to power the future of artificial intelligence.
Meanwhile, back down on Earth, the race for next-gen hardware is heating up fast. Now the US government is pouring tons of funding into complex quantum computing to try and maintain an edge. But the immediate hardware breakthrough is actually highly likely to be photonic computing. Unlike the traditional computers we use today that rely on electrons, photonic computing computes with pure light. That promises 1,000 times faster clock speeds, massively lower energy consumption, and the craziest part is, it's imminent. The physical infrastructure of intelligence is completely transforming.
And finally, Section 5, the future of the human and how all of this is enhancing our own biology. You see, our biggest challenge right now as humans isn't what we know, it's how fast we can communicate it. Despite all our amazing technology, human conscious thought and behavior output is severely bottlenecked. Think about this number. 10 bits per second. That is all we can manage through typing and speaking. Compared to our digital counterparts, we are incredibly painfully slow.
So how do we break that bottleneck? Well, Neuralink is planning to attempt the very first direct human-to-human telepathic communication later this year. By syncing the underlying patterns of how our brains map concepts, our latent space, this tech bypasses our physical constraints entirely. Just imagine transmitting your thoughts directly to another person. Not through clunky words, but through instant shared understanding. It's the beginning of a totally new communications capability for the human species.
But these upgrades aren't just digital, they're pharmacological, too. Historically, if you get less than 6 hours of natural sleep, your disease and mortality risks shoot right up. But there are these wild new pharmaceutical breakthroughs targeting the brain's orexin switch, which is basically the master switch for wakefulness. Companies like Centessa, which Eli Lilly recently bought for billions, are developing drugs that could safely turn us into fully functional 4-hour sleepers. If you do the math on that, it adds about 2 extra months of highly productive, wakeful life to your year every single year.
As we hurtle through this hard takeoff, a world where AI is self-improving, our computing power is literally going off-world, and our very biology is being reprogrammed for ultimate efficiency, this is the ultimate question you have to ask yourself. If technology hands you 4 extra hours a day, what are you going to do with them? How are you going to adapt to this incredible fast-approaching future? Thank you so much for watching this explainer, and stay intensely curious.